Join me, won't you, as we take a look at my top 31 favorite horror films, one for each day in October. This is my personal opinion, so it may differ from yours. This is a non-spoiler review, so sit down, strap yourself in, because tonight we're taking a look at The Exorcist 3. Wait! I have The Exorcist 3 on my list, but spoiler alert, I don't have the original Exorcist on my list? Am I crazy? I mean, the verdict's not out on that last question, but I do have my reasonings why I picked The Exorcist 3 over The Exorcist. The original Exorcist started as a book written by William Peter Blatty. Blatty then wrote a screenplay which was eventually directed by William Frederick in 1973. The Exorcist was a huge hit and spawned a sequel a few years later in 1977. The Exorcist 2, The Heretic, was a pretty big flop and paled in comparison to the first, largely in part due to the absence of the original writer, Blatty. A few years later, in 1983, Blatty wrote another book that had some ties to The Exorcist but was completely its own story, titled Legion. Blatty took his story and adapted it to a script. It took 7 years after the book was written, but in 1990, The Exorcist 3 was released in theaters. But this time, Blatty was the one behind the camera. The Exorcist and Exorcist 3 are very, very different in tone. The Exorcist focuses on religion and possession, while The Exorcist 3 is more of a crime drama with some religious undertones. I love this approach. It makes it feel fresh and separates itself from the original while still maintaining its roots. However, I could see how audiences would hate it, especially when they're expecting a carbon cutout of the original with some minute differences like most sequels deliver.
This afternoon I'm at the Flicks. It's a Wonderful Life.
Very nice.
Seen it 37 times.
Blatty fought a lot with the studio execs over the film, which led to a lot of things changing from Blatty's original vision. The final film was polarizing and some parts didn't flow smoothly. For many years, some of Blatty's original scenes that were cut were thought to be lost. But in 2016, the film was re-released as a director's cut and actually kept the name of the book, Legion, to separate it further from the Exorcist timeline. The Legion film did improve on a lot. However, it's not perfect either. Legion doesn't really have a climax, and some things that the studio wanted actually turned out to be a good thing. Some fans have pieced both films together to create an ultimate experience, which I hear is probably the best way to view the film.
You're reading Women's Wear Daily?
So what? Am I supposed to give spiritual advice in a vacuum?
Shouldn't you be reading from the Gospels or something?
They don't give you all the fashions.
The acting and directing can get a little dry, but Brad Dourif puts in the performance of a
The
lifetime.
Gemini is dead.
No, I am not! I'm alive!
Anytime that he is on the screen, you will not look away from that television. Your eyes are glued to his performance because it's sinister, it's deranged, and it's so emotionally raw. He really does a great job in this role.
Torment of your friend, Father Karras, as he watches while I rip and cut and mutilate the innocent, his friends, and again and again and on and on. He is inside with us. He will never get away. His pain won't end.
This film is slow, hypnotic, dry, but completely unsettling. No wonder why it was Jeffrey Dahmer's favorite movie. He would literally watch it every single time before he went out and killed someone. It's terrible, I know, but it just shows you how effective this movie is at taking someone to a dark place. Also, on a quick note, this movie may have the best and most effective jump scare of all time. Because it's so slow and dread-inducing, the jump scare seems to come from nowhere. It's so well done and terrifying. I absolutely love it. And it just goes to show that you don't need a legion of jump scares to make a movie horrifying.